A very warm welcome to Africa. Good morning. We are broadcasting the news making headlines across Africa. My name is Aina Raizakoya alongside Diana Master.
A very good morning to you, Africa, and a very good morning to you, Aina.
Good morning.
Now, do you know what I'm craving?
What?
Rotisserie chicken.
Oh,
yes.
So early in the morning.
Girl, I mean, there's something about that rich golden skin of a properly roasted rotisserie chicken that makes your mouth water. I mean, isn't your mouth watering just from the way I'm describing
just by hearing it?
I mean, while fried chicken and baked chicken are consumed every day, fewer people really get to enjoy the delicious treat that is rotisserie-style chicken, slowly spun over heat until it is evenly cooked all the way through to a pull-apart consistency. Here's a video on rotisserie chicken day.
Let's get into the news-making headlines this morning. Police refuse to open a case after teen's rape ordeal. Two sisters from Erasmia in Pretoria are fighting to get justice for a 13-year-old girl who was allegedly raped on two separate occasions and was then saved by community members when another man tried to rape her outside a tavern. One of the sisters, Nonyame Kokumalo, along with the victim and victim's father, attempted to open a case at Erasmia police station on the 30th of April 2022 after the attempted rape, but the police allegedly refused to open a case. The citizen contacted Gauteng police spokesperson Lieutenant Colonel Mavela Masondo on the 25th of May regarding the progress of the case. All he could say was that the police have launched an inquiry. Despite the police claiming they are investigating the case, there was little progress. Masondo said no arrests have been made so far, and the case is now being investigated by the Family Violence, Child Protection and Sexual Offences Unit. Last month, the teenage girl told one of her sister, Nonyame Kokumalo, that she had been raped on two previous occasions by different men.
Moving over to Malawi, High Court in Malawi to decide on fate of albino murderers. In Malawi, state prosecutors have asked the High Court in the capital Blantyre to give life sentences to 12 people, including a Catholic priest, in connection with the murder of MacDonald Masambuka, a man with albinism killed in 2018. Insofar as we are concerned, life sentences is what we are praying for, and we are hoping that the court would see merit in our submissions, said senior state lawyer Pilirani Masanjala. 5 out of the 12 defendants were found guilty of killing 22-year-old MacDonald Masambuka during a crime spree that resulted in more than 40 murders and 145 assaults on people with the condition. The defense wants jail terms not exceeding 10 years. Yes, indeed, there was some bit of planning around the evidence as it showed in court, but we are still of the view that these are not as serious to warrant the maximum sentence, as unfortunate as the case is. But we are of the view that maybe a maximum sentence is not appropriate, argued Masauko Chamkakala, director of Legal Aid Bureau. A Catholic priest, Masambuka's brother, a policeman, and a hospital employee were found guilty of involvement in selling human body parts.
Zimbabwe Police launches probe on tows business. Police have said they are investigating possible trafficking of human body parts following reports that people are selling their toes to people who use them for ritual purposes. Frenzied report these past few days have emerged on social media with pictures being shared of people selling toes. The toes are said to be sold for huge sums of money or exchange of cars such as Toyota Hilux. Unverified screenshots spreading around WhatsApp, Twitter, Facebook suggest that some sell their toes for as much as $40,000 for a big toe, for the big toe rather, and $25,000 for the middle toe, as well as $10,000 for the tiny toe. With stories widely circulating on social media, this might be hilarious to some, but authorities are concerned and police are now investigating the matter as the trading of body part is illegal in Zimbabwe.
Now moving over to South Africa, Home Affairs' new online booking system promises no more frustrating long queues. Minister of Home Affairs Aaron Motsoaledi, in his budget speech last week, announced the launch of a new online booking system called Branch Appointment Booking System to put an end to the exhausting and frustrating long queues which have become synonymous with his department. The minister explained that they are working on revamping the government's internet network, which is the cause of the system that is always offline and leads to the endless queues. He also added they will increase the department's internet capacity and rope in specialist network engineers from banks to help with their intervention. In an interview with Radio 702, Deputy Director General for Policy Thulani Mavuso unpacked how the new system works. The system will be used for identification and passport applications because they are in the highest demand. When someone is queuing in a public space, you cannot remove them. So what we are looking at now is to ensure that when people book online, the office manager gets a list every day of people booked to come for particular service, said Mavuso.
Zimbabwe to deport 6 Kenyans arrested over illegal entry. Zimbabwe security forces have arrested 6 Kenyans on charges of entering the country illegally through its porous border with South Africa. The Kenyans were traveling by road in transit to Kenya, who were arrested at Beitbridge border post on the 27th of May around 2 a.m. as they entered Zimbabwe from South Africa after it was discovered that they had fake Zimbabwean immigration date stamps. On Monday, they appeared before the Beitbridge magistrate Anya Chimweta, charged with violating the country's Immigration Act. They were convicted and cautioned against repeating the same offenses. They are still in custody pending deportation. Prosecutor Asnat Vengeza told the court that on the arrival at the border, the Kenyans engaged the services of bogus immigration officers who stamped the 2 passports and travel documents for free. We have more news coming right after the break. Stay with us.
You're watching Africa Good Morning, and now let's get into the second half of our top stories, starting off in South Africa, where thousands of travelers have been stranded after airline chaos. A reported 3,000 travelers in South Africa have been left stranded after the Comair airline abruptly suspended all its flights with immediate effect. The airline announced the suspension on Tuesday evening, citing financial problems. Angry customers say Comair offered specials and accepted bookings just hours before announcing the suspension. Some travelers were scrambling to find alternative flights this morning. Comair is seeking more funding to be able to resume operations. It operates low-budget airline Kulula as well as domestic and regional flights for British Airways Airlines. The firm says it has been affected by the coronavirus-related travel restrictions and the recent increase in fuel prices due to the Ukraine-Russian war. It has been plagued by financial and operational problems. In March, South Africa's Civil Aviation Authority temporarily grounded all its planes, citing safety concerns.
Mali refutes UN report on alleged army killings. Mali has denied allegations in a UN report that its national army carried out human rights violations. A report by the country's UN mission, MINUSMA, released on week highlighted alleged gross rights abuses by the Malian army between January and March this year. It attributed the farmer and exponential rise in the abuses, including summary executions and forced disappearance, in its quarterly report on the 26th of May. On Wednesday, Mali's foreign ministry issued a memo offering detailed rebuttals on various parts of the UN report. These allegations are very often tedious, uncrossed reference, reported non-contradictory ways, and not supported by any tangible evidence, it said. The ministry said the allegations were intended to damage the image of the defense and security forces and to discredit it vis-a-vis the population and the international community.
UK aims to send the first group of asylum seekers to Rwanda on 14 June. Britain aims to send a first group of asylum seekers to Rwanda in 2 weeks' time as part of a policy which the government says is designed to break people smuggling networks and stem the flow of migrants across the channel. In April, Prime Minister Boris Johnson's government announced plans to Rwanda to send some of the people who seek asylum in Britain to Rwanda in a plan that drew criticism from both within and outside Johnson's Conservative Party, as well as from many charities. The Home Office said on Tuesday that an initial group of migrants have started to receive formal letters telling them they are being sent to Rwanda to rebuild their lives in safety. The removal direction confirms that they will be going to Rwanda and when, Britain's Home Secretary Priti Patel said in a statement. The first flight is expected to take place next month on the 14th of June.
Tunisia's trade union announces a public sector strike as from the 16th of June. The powerful Tunisian Trade Union Center on Tuesday announced a nationwide public sector strike on June 16 to protest against soaring inflation and prevent the privatization of major state-owned companies. The announcement comes at a time when the country is wallowing in a deep economic crisis and the government is counting on the support of the General Union of Tunisian Workers for the reform program it had submitted to the International Monetary Fund in the hope of obtaining new credit. In a statement, the union accused President Kais Saied of undermining the principles of negotiation and re-energizing the previous agreements, while the country is facing crazy and continuous price rises, with inflation at 7.5% in April over 1 year. All the staff of the 159 institutions and the public enterprises will stop work in order to obtain immediate negotiations to restore the purchasing power of Tunisians.
Now, speak to each other like brothers. Guinea junta rejects UN call to end ban on protests. Guinea's ruling junta has rejected a UN call to lift a ban on political demonstrations, insisting protests should only be allowed during the election period in 3 years' time. The military overthrew President Alpha Condé in September and last month declared a ban on public demonstrations before a return to civilian rule, which it says will be in 3 years. The UN's Human Rights High Commission on Monday called for the ban to be revoked, but the junta rejected the appeal late on Tuesday. No march will be authorized authorized so long as public order cannot be guaranteed in such events, it said in a communique read on state TV. Hundreds of people died during violent protests that erupted during the Conde era, the junta noted. The junta said it had already set up bodies where contradictions and misunderstandings can be debated quite serenely. The statement said that as a result, nothing can justify marches during the sensitive period of national life in which Guineans have begun once more to speak to each other like brothers. Political parties are becoming increasingly vocal in their protests against the junta's rule and what they say is the crackdown of freedoms.
All right, now after the break, the war in Ukraine is causing devastating drought in the Horn of Africa. More on that after the break. Thank you for watching Africa Good Morning. Now, the war in Ukraine is hitting the most vulnerable in Africa hard as the cost of humanitarian aid skyrockets. In some instances, support to Africa has been redirected to Eastern Europe. At the same time, many people, including at least 370,000 children, may perish before the end of June in a devastating drought in the Horn of Africa. Let's have a look.
Accompanying Somalia's newly appointed drought envoy on his first field visit, the United Nations top humanitarian official for this Horn of Africa country Tuesday warned of the devastating outlook for millions of affected Somalis amidst heightened risks of famine. According to a recent report of the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, some 6.1 million Somalis have been affected by the drought emergency. Of that number, more than 770,000 people have been displaced from their homes in search of water, food and pasture. The majority are women and children. The outlook has worsened due to the prospects of a fifth consecutive failed rainy season. The humanitarian coordinator for Somalia, Adam Abdelmullah, explains how dire the situation is.
The situation is extremely dire and grim. 7.1 million people are going to be affected by this drought situation before the end of this year. And unless we scale up and step up our response, unfortunately, many people, including at least 330,000 children, will perish before the end of the month of June, which is next month. So that tells you how dire the situation is.
Abdelmullah was speaking at the ADC camp for internally displaced people in the Baidoa district of Somalia's southwest state. He was accompanying Somalia's special envoy for drought response, Abdirahman Abdishakur, who was appointed by the Somali president in late May on his visit to an IDP camp.
To mobilize as much as possible resources and coordinate the efforts of humanitarian assistance. Baidoa is the most where the people who are most affected come and arrived recently, closer to the half of those who are displaced from drought are here in Baidoa. We call international community to double their effort and support Somali people in this difficult time.
With the limited resources that we have only been able between the months of January and April to reach 2.4 million out of all those in need of humanitarian assistance.
Aid projects across sub-Saharan Africa are threatened by the fallout from the war in Ukraine, potentially putting millions of lives at risk. Humanitarian agencies, already struggling with widespread price increases under the COVID-19 pandemic, say the crisis in Europe has made things worse. Even the cost of life-saving therapeutic foods for malnourished children has spiked. At a camp for displaced families in the Somali town of Dolo, 1-year-old Hassan is weighed in a plastic bucket suspended from a scale by a medical technician as his mother, Hassan Habiba Muhammad Noor, watches on. Muhammad Noor says the Al-Shabaab militant group and a crippling drought in her village forced her to flee with Hassan. Hassan, who 3 months ago weighed only 5.2 kilograms, about half of what a boy his age should weigh, began receiving treatment for severe acute malnutrition at a clinic run by 8 workers in the south of the country. Over 3 months, Hassan's weight has climbed to 5.6 kilograms. His partial recovery is thanks to a sweet peanut paste called Plumpy Nut, developed by French scientists in the 1990s, that has become a crucial weapon in the fight against child malnutrition. Over the past year, the cost of Plumpy Nut has risen 23%, including a 9% increase imposed since the Ukraine crisis began. Plumpy Nut's main producer, Nutriset, told Reuters. In all, costs are up 39%, Nutriset said. Compounding the problem, some donors have diverted state aid from Africa's worst-hit countries to help support more than 6 million refugees who have fled the fighting in Ukraine. Denmark has halved its aid to Burkina Faso this year to accommodate Ukrainian refugees. Its budget for Burkina's neighbor Mali, also in the grips of an Islamist insurgency, has dropped 40%. Sweden too has cut its development aid budget to finance the reception of asylum seekers at home.
Commodity prices have almost doubled in Somalia, and in some parts 93% high. The humanitarian appeal for Somalia is only 15% funded. So what we need now is money. We need the cash to avert the risk of famine.
The fundamental issue in Somalia and in the Horn at the moment is a climate-induced crisis, right? It's drought. But where the effects of the Ukraine crisis come in is that the food prices and fuel prices and others are hiked up to a point where we need more resources to secure what we would have secured before. We need a lot more.
You're watching Africa Good Morning, and now we cross on over to Zimbabwe, where we speak to Talent Gore to give us the latest news on the ground. Good morning, Talent.
Good morning, Diana. Good morning, Aina. How are you doing this morning?
We are cold, but we are good. And now starting off, government outlines measures to tame inflation. What is the story on this?
Well, if you're living in Zimbabwe, you don't need telling that inflation is getting out of hand. And it has been years since one purchased groceries for the same price in different months. So those who earn in foreign currency were at one time shielded from this inflation, but now prices are going up in USD terms too. So the government has said that it is taking steps to make sure that in its financing of infrastructural projects necessary for development, it does not contribute to economic volatility and inflation. So on most of the developments, on most of the projects that are being done in Zimbabwe, the government had contracted both local and foreign currencies who are paid large sums in Zimbabwean dollars, which they then offload onto the parallel market, triggering exchange rate volatility. So the finance minister, Professor Mthuli Ncube, said that what is driving the exchange rate is speculative behavior and some actions of monopolies that they, as the government, have seen. So they now have two critical steps, and one is to pay contractors using the following formula. 50% will be paid in United States dollars, and then 50% will be paid in Zimbabwean dollars. And Professor Mthuli also said that the second action is that on the Zimbabwean dollar portion, they spread it out. Not spread it out all at once, but they spread it out in bits and pieces to make sure that it doesn't find its way as a lump sum into the parallel market. The finance minister also said that the government had taken some action and established a liquidity committee drawn from the Ministry of Finance in the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe to make sure that they monitor and they manage the liquidity of the entire economy. So they say that as it stands, they're not going to be paying contractors, who are doing projects in the country using just one currency. So they're going to be paying 50% in Zimbabwean dollar and then 50% in United States dollars to make sure that the Zimbabwean dollar doesn't get into the parallel market as a lump sum, because that then causes the exchange rate to go up.
Right, Talent, we understand that the elephant population in Zimbabwe is growing and there is no space. Please tell us about this.
So Zimbabwean officials have said that the country can support up to 55,000 elephants, but the population has more than doubled to 100,000. So they're saying that as it stands, they can't afford to take care of the elephants because there are now too many. So moreover, they say that human-animal conflicts are on the rise. Elephants have so far killed 60 people compared with 72 in all of last year. So most of the communities, especially in Wange, in Victoria Falls, they share living space with wildlife, sometimes with dangerous wildlife such as lions, and sometimes they contribute actively to the conversations of these animals. So Southern African countries are home to approximately 293,000, or 70% of Africa's population, and Zimbabwe gathers the world's largest elephant herd. So you find that they are saying that as it stands, Zimbabwe, it has the largest herd of elephants in Africa, and we can't afford to take care of the increase or the growing number of elephants in the country. And they're saying that certain countries with large elephant herd like Zimbabwe or Botswana insist that they are ill-equipped to protect them and deal with poachers without money from ivory sales. So they are now advocating for the selling of ivory, especially for those animals that would have died on their own. They're now advocating for the selling of their.
All right. And finally, Talent, in exciting news, are you ready for tomorrow? We understand Burna Boy is performing in Zimbabwe. Do you have your outfit ready?
So Burna Boy, we are so excited as Zimbabwe that we are going to be hosting Burna Boy tomorrow. He's going to be performing in Harare in Harare at Gotv Sports Club. So the general tickets are going for $30, and the VIP tickets, which are already sold out, they're going for 100 United States dollars. So there are also some packages for those people who want to live or want to enjoy their life. They're going for 1,000 United States dollars, and they'll be catering for approximately 4 to 6 people, and they'll be getting a bottle of champagne, a bottle of Ciroc, and a bottle of Hennessy. Burna Boy was scheduled to come in 2020, but due to COVID, he couldn't make it to Zimbabwe. So now he's finally here. He's coming tomorrow, and we're going to be at the Burna Boy show tomorrow.
So you're going to be live streaming from the Burna Boy concert tomorrow,
Yes,
I
will,
assume?
definitely.
Please make sure you snap everything. We want to see it from your point of view.
Of course, I'll be joining you. I'll fly out tonight.
I will
Talent, thank you
definitely
very
show you.
much.
You're welcome, and thank you very much for having me.
All right. Me and Diana will definitely be watching Burna Boys through Talent's view.
Nice.
But right now, let's go to the weather predictions in Southern Africa. Well, there is no monkeypox detected in Botswana now. Masego Mugwasa has this story and more. Good morning, Masego. How are you? Take it away.
I'm doing all good. Nice to see you ladies in studio and Good Morning Africa. The Ministry of Health has noted some concerns and anxiety among some members of the public. Outbreaks of monkeypox disease in countries that do not normally have cases of the disease. Although these outbreaks, which started in the first week of May 2022 in traditionally non-endemic areas, Botswana has so far not recorded any case of the disease. Despite there being no detected cases in Botswana, the Ministry of Health has extended its surveillance efforts. As of now, countries, especially in the central and west of Africa, have recorded high cases of the monkeypox disease. Alongside with other countries and multilateral institutions like the World Health Organization, Botswana will do all that can be done to control the spread of the disease into the country and globally.
All right. Now, former President's sister Jacqueline Khama passed away. Are there any funeral preparations? What's the situation?
Yes, the former president, Ian Khama, Seretse Khama, has announced that there will be a private memorial service for his late sister, Jacqueline Khama, in Gaborone today. In a statement, the former president shared that the memorial will be for close family and friends, while a public memorial will be held in the afternoon on the same day at the United Congregational Church in Southern Africa, otherwise known as the London Missionary Church in Serowe. The service is to be held at the main khotla in Serowe on Friday morning, which is tomorrow. Jacqueline Khama is the only daughter of founding president of the Republic of Botswana, and she passed away last week, aged 72. Former president has also made utterances of how the current president has not offered any government assistance for the burial, even though Jacqueline was not a member of the public service.
All right, now the government is considering to re-sponsor thousands of tertiary school dropouts. Please tell us about this.
Yes, thousands of tertiary school dropouts may get a second chance as government mounts sponsorship of over 2,000. Government is considering to re-sponsor thousands of tertiary education students whose sponsorship has been terminated due to various reasons, including poor performance on the part of the students. The permanent secretary in the relevant ministry, that of Education and Development, Miriam Maroba, says that a survey was conducted to find out how many young people are in need of sponsorship, and that the number so far sits at 2,500. Maroba told a Parliament Public Accounts Committee last week that discussions are ongoing with Finance Ministry to provide funding to students. That brings me to the end of my today. From me, Maseho in Botswana. Enjoy the week.
Thank you so much. That was Maseho Mohasa giving us the latest news on the ground in Botswana. And now we're going to take a quick ad break and return with our economic news.
Ohole So Nice is an entertainment show brought to you by the youth for the youth. This is a dating show that allows individuals to participate and be their own true selves. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact Zone at synergy.com.na.
Let's get into our economic news for this morning. India asked to supply more than 1.5 million tons of wheat. India has received a request for the supply of more than 1.5 million tons of wheat from several countries that needed this staple to overcome shortages triggered by the invasion of Ukraine by Russia. Trade and government sources said on Monday more than half a dozen countries have approached India for more than 1.5 million tons of wheat, and we will see how to go about these requests, said the government officials. India is keen to help vulnerable countries and anyone who needs wheat, said the official. The bulk of the request has come from Bangladesh, a regular buyer of Indian wheat, the sources said. India, which has banned private wheat export, is open to specific requests for grain from foreign governments.
Now, Russia to cut its gas supply to Denmark on June 1st after failure to pay in rubles. Danish energy company Ørsted said Tuesday that Russian gas company Gazprom Export would cut gas supplies to Denmark on June 1st after the Danish company refused to pay in rubles. Ørsted, formerly Dong Energy, said Gazprom Export had informed it that its gas supply would be halted at 6 a.m. The Danish company had anticipated the move and had previously said it was filling up its storage facilities in Denmark and Germany to secure gas supplies to their customers. Since there is no gas pipeline going directly from Russia to Denmark, Russia will not be able to directly cut off the gas supplies to Denmark, and it will thus still be possible for Denmark to get gas, Ørsted said in Tuesday's statement. However, this means that the gas for Denmark must, to a larger extent, be purchased on the European gas market. We expect this to be possible, it said.
South Africa proposes fuel levy cut extensions linked to Ukraine war. South Africa's government is proposing to extend a cut in the the general fuel levy until early August to ease pressure on consumers from high domestic fuel prices linked to the Russia and Ukraine conflict. In a joint statement on Tuesday, the National Treasury and the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy said the estimated cost of the 2-month proposal in foregone revenue was 4.5 billion rand. The Minister of Finance has today submitted a letter to the Speaker of the National Assembly requesting the tabling of a 2-month proposal for the extension of the reduction in the general fuel levy, the statement said. In March, the government announced a temporary reduction in the fuel levy of 1.5 rand per litre for 2 months as the fuel and food prices continue to rise in the aftermath of Russia's invasion of Ukraine on the 24th of February. The reduction was due to expire at the end of May.
Moving over to Senegal, President Macky Sall launches Senegal's first water desalination plant. In Senegal, President Macky Sall has launched the works of the first water desalination plant. The aim of the project is to increase the water supply to the capital, Dakar, which is facing shortages. The president explained the reasoning behind the project. It is all the more vital because the demographic situation, combined with a strong real estate boom and the rapid development of economic activities, have led to an exploitation of local water resources, thus accelerating the rise of salt water in the Cape Verde Peninsula, said President Macky Sall. Despite opposition from local fishermen and environmentalists, the project is going ahead due to growing demographic pressures on the capital. The state has taken all the necessary measures to ensure optimal control of the environmental and social impacts of this project in the spirit of the Sustainable Development Objectives, in particular Objective number 6, which concerns drinking water and sanitation, added the president. The desalination plant is part of a vast plan of improvements aimed at making the country more competitive.
After the break, we take a look at a sports package by Ari Gotv, but first, before that, economic indicators.
Africa Good Morning is a current affairs program that brings you the latest from Southern Africa and beyond. News, economics, sport, weather, interviews, and so much more. For any advertising or news-related queries, contact AGM at synergy.com.na. Africa Good Morning, bringing Africa to you.
Thank you for staying with Africa Good Morning. And now we take a look at the sports news with Ari Gotv.
Good day, everyone. Time for international sports news, and starting off with tennis news, and still very exciting tennis in Paris at the French Open being played on clay, and it's a very exciting weekend coming up with men's finals on Sunday and women's finals on Saturday. And let's go to the men's section first, and men's draw first. It was an exciting game in the quarterfinals. Number 1 seed Novak Djokovic that played against Rafael Nadal, and it could have been a final as well, but they played in the quarterfinals, and it is Rafael Nadal that came out winner. He beat Novak Djokovic in 4 sets. He beat him by 6-2, 4-6, 6-2 and 7-6. And Nadal will now play Alexander Zverev in the semi-finals. Nadal trying to become the only player to have won 21 majors if he can win this tournament. At the moment, Nadal and Novak Djokovic and Roger Federer each have 20 majors to their name. Other side of the draw, probably the highest seeds left in the other side of the draw at the moment that can probably be in the final is Andrei Rublev and also Casper Ruud of Norway. In the women's draw, it was Coco Gauff of the USA that had continued a great run in the tournament. She beat compatriot and fellow American Sloane Stephens by 7-6 and 6-2. And she will play in the semi-final against Martina Trevisan. She is from Italy. Other side of the draw, it is still number 1 Iga Swiatek that looms largely on that side of the draw, and also number 11 seed Jessica Pegula that's also still in the draw. Now we continue with cricket news. It is England that will host New Zealand in the first 5-day test. There's going to be 3 tests that they're going to play. And the first test starts on Thursday, and that will be played at Lord's. And news from the England camp that it is the seamer, the quick bowler from Durham, it is Matthew Potts that will make his debut in the England team in the test at Lord's. And he will join Stuart Broad and James Anderson as the fast bowlers for this first test. Joe Root, the previous captain, he will bat at number 4, and it will be Ollie Pope that will come in at number 3. Joe Root is no more the captain. He gave the captaincy to Ben Stokes, so he's the new captain of the England team. So that test starts on Thursday at Lord's. Now we continue with soccer news on international sport news, and it is Manchester United that's got a new coach. His name is Erik van Taak, and seems like he's trying to get a few new players to play for Manchester United. And one of the players that is speculated to maybe join Manchester United is Chelsea's midfielder and also the England midfielder Mason Mount. And Mason Mount is 23 years old and is yet to sign a new contract with Chelsea. So it seems like Erik van Taak trying to get Mason Mount to join Manchester United. Also news from Liverpool is that Sadio Mane might not continue to be at the club. He's still trying to make up his mind where he wants to play next year, and if he leaves the club, there's speculation that Liverpool will seek to get the services from the French forward, and his name is Martin Terrier. Martin Terrier is 25 years old and he plays for the Rennes club. So that is Liverpool. They're trying to get a new striker for in case Sadio Mane does not renew his contract with Liverpool. Let's finish off or close today's international sports news with some Formula 1 racing news. Monaco Grand Prix, that was the last weekend, that was won by Sergio Perez, and Sergio Perez was rewarded with a 2-year contract extension by Red Bull. That was after he won the Monaco Grand Prix, but there's also speculation that he already signed it before the race even started, but it was good reward for Red Bull as Sergio Perez won the Formula 1 race. So he will be a Formula 1 driver for Red Bull with the Honda engines for the next 2 years, and there's a speculation that he also got a salary increase. He will now earn $10 million annually per year. It used to be $8 million annually, and his teammate Max Verstappen is earning at the moment $54 million annually. So that's the international sports news for now. Hope you have a great sporting day, and we talk again tomorrow. Goodbye.
NMH Ad Spotter spots the daily NMH printed editions for the daily newspapers to the retail specials, as well as weekly, monthly, and yearly focus editions. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, please contact adspotter@synergy.com.na. NMH Ad Spotter. Spot it, like it, buy it.
Ohole So Nice is an entertainment show brought to you by the youth for the youth. This is a dating show that allows individuals to participate and be their own true selves. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact zone@synergy.com.na.
Sadly, we've come to the end of our show, but before we sign off, let's take a look at the highlights from today's broadcast. Police refuse to open case after teen's rape ordeal. High Court in Malawi to decide on fate of albino murderers. Zimbabwe police launches probe on Toe's business. Home Affairs' new online booking system promises no more frustrating long queues. Zimbabwe to deport 6 Kenyans arrested over illegal entry. India asked to supply more than 1.5 million tons of wheat.
And those have been our stories. We thank you very much for joining us on this edition of Africa Good Morning. Please post your comments on our Facebook and Twitter pages regarding our show. We absolutely love hearing from you. We do have a website. It's called OneUp2, and on there you can find more content. Africa Good Morning plays on DSTV channel 285 as well as Gotv channel 94 every weekday from 7 to 8. And on that note, it's all our love, all our light.